Shin-Fukatoku. Mind cannot be grasped. The latter. By Eihei Dogen. From Shobogenzo, the treasury of the true Dharma I. Mind cannot be grasped is the Buddha's. They have maintained it and relied upon it as their own state of Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. The Diamond Sutra says, past mind cannot be grasped, present mind cannot be grasped, and future mind cannot be grasped. This is just the realized state of maintaining and relying upon mind cannot be grasped, which is the Buddhas themselves. They have maintained it and relied upon it as triple world mind cannot be grasped, and as all Dharma's mind cannot be grasped. The state of maintenance and reliance, which makes this clear, is not experienced unless learned from Buddhas, and is not authentically transmitted unless learned from patriarchs. To learn from Buddhas means to learn from the 16-foot body, and to learn from a single stalk of grass. To learn from the patriarchs means to learn from skin, flesh, bones, and marrow, and to learn from a face breaking into a smile. The import of this is that when we seek the truth under a teacher who has evidently received the authentic transmission of the right Dharma I treasury, who has received the legitimate one-to-one transmission of the state in which the mind seal of the Buddhas and the patriarchs is directly accessible, then without fail, that teacher's bones and marrow, face and eyes are transmitted, and we receive body, hair, and skin. Those who do not learn the Buddha's truth, and who do not enter the room of a patriarch, neither see, nor hear, nor understand this. The method of asking about it is beyond them. They have never realized the means to express it, even in a dream. Tokuzan, in former days, when not a stout fellow, was an authority on the Diamond Sutra. People of the time called him Shu, king of the Diamond Sutra. Of more than 800 scholars, he is the king. Not only is he especially well versed in the Seiryu commentaries, he also has edited text weighing 12 tan. There is no lecturer who stands shoulder to shoulder with him. In the story, he hears that in the south, a supreme truth has been received by rightful successor from rightful successor, and so, carrying his texts, He travels across the mountains and rivers. He takes a rest by the left of the road leading to Ryutan, and an old woman comes by. Tokuzan says, "What kind of person are you?" The old woman says, "I am an old woman who sells rice cakes." Tokuzan says, "Will you sell some rice cakes to me?" The old woman says, "What does the master want to buy them for?" Tokuzan says, "I would like to buy some rice cakes to refresh my mind." The old woman says, "What is all that the master is carrying?" Tokuzan says, "Have you not heard? I am Shu, king of the Diamond Sutra. I have mastered the Diamond Sutra. There is no part of it that I do not understand. This load I am carrying is commentaries on the Diamond Sutra." Hearing this, the old woman says, "The old woman has a question. Will the master permit me to ask it or not?" Tokuzan says, "I permit it. You may ask whatever you like." She says, "I have heard it said in the Diamond Sutra that past mind cannot be grasped. Present mind cannot be grasped, and future mind cannot be grasped. Which mind do you now intend to refresh with my rice cakes? If the master is able to say something, I will sell the rice cakes. If the master is unable to say anything, I will not sell the rice cakes." At this, Tokuzan was dumbfounded. He could not find any appropriate reply. The old woman just swung her sleeves and left. In the end, she did not sell any rice cakes to Tokuzan. How regrettable it was that a commentator on hundreds of scrolls of text, a lecturer for tens of years, on receiving one mere question from a humble old woman, promptly fell into defeat. Such things are due to the great difference between those who have received a master's transmission and those who have not received a master's transmission, between those who visit the room of a true teacher and those who do not enter the room of a true teacher. Hearing the words cannot be grasped, some have simply understood that to grasp is equally impossible both for the former group and for the latter group. They totally lack the vigorous path. Again, there are people who think that we say we cannot grasp it because we are endowed with it originally. Such thinking has by no means hit the target. This was when Tokuzan first knew that rice cakes painted in a picture cannot kill hunger, and understood that for Buddhist training it is always necessary to meet a true person. He also understood that a person who has been uselessly caught up in only sutras and texts is not able to acquire real power. Eventually, he visited Ryutan and realized the way of master and disciple, after which he did indeed become a true person. Today, he is not only a founding patriarch of the Unmon and Hogen sects, but also a guiding teacher in the human world and in the heavens above. When we consider this story, it is evident now that Tokuzan in the past was not enlightened. Even though the old woman has now shut Tokuzan's mouth, it is also hard to decide that she is really a true person. In brief, it seems that hearing the words, "Mind cannot be grasped," she considers only that mind cannot exist, and so she asks as she does. If Tokuzan were a stout fellow, he might have the power of interpretation. If he were able to interpret the situation, it would also have become apparent whether the old woman was a true person. But because this is a time when Tokuzan was not Tokuzan, whether the old woman is a true person also is not known and not evident. What is more, we are not without reasons to doubt the old woman now. When Tokuzan is unable to say anything, why does she not say to Tokuzan, "Now the master is unable to say something, so please go ahead and ask this old woman. The old woman will say something for the master instead." Then, after receiving Tokuzan's question, if she had something to say to Tokuzan, the old woman might show some real ability. Someone who has the state of effort common to the bones and marrow, and the faces and eyes of the ancients, and common to the brightness and the conspicuous form of eternal Buddhas. In such a situation, has no trouble not only taking hold, but also letting go of Tokuzan, the old woman, the ungraspable, the graspable, rice cakes, and mind. The Buddha mind is just the 3 times. Mind and the 3 times are not separated by 1,000th or 100th, but when they move apart and we discuss their separation, then the profound distance between them has already gone beyond 84,000. If someone says, "What is past mind?" We should say to that person, "It cannot be grasped." If someone says, "What is present mind?" we should say to that person, "It cannot be grasped." If someone says, "What is future mind?" we should say to that person, "It cannot be grasped." The point here is not to say that there is mind, which we provisionally call ungraspable. We are just saying for the present, it cannot be grasped. We do not say that it is impossible to grasp mind. We only say it cannot be grasped. We do not say that it is possible to grasp mind. We only say it cannot be grasped. Further, if someone says, "What is the state of past mind cannot be grasped?" we should say, "Living and dying, coming and going." If someone says, "What is the state of present mind cannot be grasped?" we should say, "Living and dying, coming and going." If someone says, "What is the state of future mind cannot be grasped?" we should say, "Living and dying, coming and going." In sum, there is Buddha mind as fences, walls, tiles, and pebbles, and all the Buddhas of the 3 times experience this as it cannot be grasped. There are only fences, walls, tiles, and pebbles, which are the Buddha mind itself. And the Buddhas experience this in the 3 times, as it cannot be grasped. Furthermore, there is the state of it cannot be grasped itself, existing as mountains, rivers, and the earth. There are times when the state of it cannot be grasped, as grass, trees, wind, and water is just mind. There are also times when the mind to which we should give rise while having no abode is the state of it cannot be grasped. Still further, mind in the state of it cannot be grasped, which is preaching 80,000 Dharma gates through all the ages of all the Buddhas of the 10 directions, is like this. A further example. At the time of the national master Daisho, Daini Sanzo arrived at the capital from the faraway western heavens, claiming to have attained the power to know others' minds. In the story, the Tang Emperor Shukuso orders the national master to examine Sanzo. As soon as Sanzo meets the national master, he promptly prostrates himself and stands to the master's right. At length, The National Master asks, "Have you got the power to know others' minds, or not?" Sanzo says, "I would not be so bold as to say." The National Master says, "Tell me where this old monk is now." Sanzo says, "Master, you are the teacher of the whole country. Why are you by the West River watching a boat race?" The National Master, after a while, asks a second time, "Tell me where the old monk is now." Sanzo says, "Master, you are the teacher of a whole country. Why are you on Tientsin Bridge watching someone play with a monkey?" The National Master asks again, "Tell me where the old monk is now." Sanzo takes a while, but knows nothing and sees nothing. Then the National Master scolds him, saying, "You ghost of a wild fox, where is your power to know others' minds?" Sanzo has no further answer. If we did not know of such an episode, that would be bad. And if we were not informed about it, we might have doubts. Buddhist scholars and scholars of the Tripitaka can never be equal. They are as far apart as heaven and earth. Buddhist patriarchs have clarified the Buddha Dharma. Scholars of the Tripitaka have never clarified it at all. With regard to the title, Scholar of the Tripitaka, indeed, there are cases of even secular people being a scholar of the Tripitaka. It represents, for example, the acquisition of a place in literary culture. This being so, even if Sanzo has not only understood all the languages of India and China, but has also accomplished the power to know others' minds as well. He has never seen the body and mind of the Buddhist truth, even in a dream. For this reason, in his audience with the National Master, who has experienced the state of the Buddhist patriarchs, Sanzo is seen through at once. When we learn mind in Buddhism, the myriad dharmas are mind itself, and the triple world is mind alone. It may be that mind alone is just mind alone, and that concrete Buddha is mind here and now. Whether it is self, or whether it is the external world, we must not be mistaken about the mind of the Buddha's truth. It could never idly flow down to the West River, or wander over to Tianjin Bridge. If we want to maintain and to rely upon the body and mind of the Buddha's truth, we must learn the power which is the wisdom of the Buddha's truth. That is to say, in the Buddha's truth, the whole earth is mind, which does not change through arising and vanishing, and the whole Dharma is mind. We should also learn the whole of mind as the power of wisdom. Sanzo, not having seen this already, is nothing but the ghost of a wild fox. So even the first 2 times, Sanzo never sees the mind of the national master, and never penetrates the mind of the national master at all. He is a wild fox cub, idly playing with no more than the West River, Tianjin Bridge, a boat race, and a monkey. How could he hope to see the national master? Again, the fact is evident that Sanzo cannot see the place where the national master is. He is asked 3 times, "Tell me where the old monk is now." But he does not listen to these words. If he could listen, he might be able to investigate further. But because he does not listen, he blunders heedlessly onward. If Sanzo had learned the Buddha Dharma, he would listen to the words of the national master, and he might be able to see the body and mind of the national master. Because he does not learn the Buddha Dharma in his everyday life, even though he was born to meet a guiding teacher of the human world and the heavens above, he has passed the opportunity in vain. It is pitiful, and it is deplorable. In general, how could a scholar of the Tripitaka attain to the conduct of a Buddhist patriarch and know the limits of the national master? Needless to say, teachers of commentaries from the Western heavens and Indian scholars of the Tripitaka could never know the conduct of the national master at all. Kings of gods can know, and teachers of commentaries can know what scholars of the Tripitaka know. How could what commentary teachers and gods know be beyond the wisdom of bodhisattvas at the place of assignment, or beyond bodhisattvas at the 10 sacred stages and the 3 clever stages? Gods cannot know, and bodhisattvas at the place of assignment have never clarified the body and mind of the national master. Discussion of body and mind among Buddhists is like this. we should know it and believe it. The Dharma of our great teacher Shakyamuni is never akin to the ghosts of wild foxes, the two vehicles, non-Buddhists and the like. Still, venerable patriarchs through the ages have each researched this story, and their discussions have survived. A monk asked Joshu, "Why does Sanzo not see where the national master is the third time?" Joshu says, "He does not see because the national master is right on Sanzo's nostrils." Another monk asked Gensa, "If the national master is already on Sanzo's nostrils, why does Sanzo not see him?" Gensa says, "Simply because of being enormously close." Kai-e Tan says, "If the national master is right on Sanzo's nostrils, what difficulty could Sanzo have in seeing him? Above all, it has not been recognized that the national master is inside Sanzo's eyeballs." On another occasion, Gensa challenges Sanzo with these words, "You, say, have you seen at all, even the first 2 times?" Secho Ken says, "I am defeated. I am defeated." On still another occasion, a monk asked Kaiozan, "Why is it that the third time, though Sanzo takes a while, he does not see where the national master is?" Kaiozan says, "The first 2 times, the master's mind is wandering in external circumstances. Then he enters the samadhi of receiving and using the self, and so Sanzo does not see him." These 5 venerable patriarchs are all precise, but they have passed over the national master's conduct by only discussing Sanzo's failure to know the third time. They seem to permit that he knew the first 2 times. This is the ancestors' oversight, and students of later stages should know it. Kosho's present doubts about the 5 venerable patriarchs are twofold. First, they do not know the national master's intention in examining Sanzo. Second, they do not know the national master's body and mind. Now, the reason I say that they do not know the national master's intention in examining Sanzo is as follows. First, the national master says, "Tell me where the old monk is just now." The intention expressed here is to test whether or not Sanzo has ever known the Buddha Dharma. At that time, if Sanzo has heard the Buddha Dharma, he would study according to the Buddha Dharma the question, where is the old monk just now? Studied according to the Buddha Dharma. The national masters, where is the old monk now? Asks, am I at this place? Am I at that place? Am I in the supreme state of Bodhi? Am I in the Prajna Paramita? Am I suspended in space? Am I standing on the earth? Am I in a thatched hut? And am I in the place of treasure? Sanzo does not recognize this intention, and so he vainly offers views and opinions of the common man, the two vehicles, and the like. The national master asks again, tell me where this old monk is just now. Here again, Sanzo offers useless words. The national master asks yet again, tell me where this old monk is just now. Whereupon Sanzo takes a while, but says nothing, his mind baffled. Then the national master scolds Sanzo, saying, you ghost of a wild fox, where is your power to know others' minds? Thus chided, Sanzo still has nothing to say for himself. Having considered this episode carefully, the ancestors all think that the national master is now scolding Sanzo because, even if Sanzo knows where the national master was the first 2 times, he does not know the 3rd time. That is not so. The national master is scolding Sanzo outright for being nothing but the ghost of a wild fox, and never having seen the Buddha Dharma even in a dream. The national master has never said that Sanzo knew the first 2 times, but not the 3rd time. His criticism is outright criticism of Sanzo. The national master's idea is first to consider whether or not it is possible to call the Buddha Dharma the power to know others' minds. Further, he thinks if we speak of the power to know others' minds, we must take others in accordance with the Buddha's truth. We must take mind in accordance with the Buddha's truth. And we must take the power to know in accordance with the Buddha's truth. But what this Sanzo is saying now does not accord with the Buddha's truth at all. How could it be called the Buddha Dharma? These are the thoughts of the national master. The meaning of his testing is as follows. even if Sanzo says something the third time, if it is like the first two times, contrary to the principles of the Buddha Dharma, and contrary to the fundamental intention of the national master, it must be criticized. When the national master asks 3 times, he is asking again and again whether Sanzo has been able to understand the national master's words. The second doubt, that the 5 venerable patriarchs do not know the body and mind of the national master, is namely that the body and mind of the national master cannot be known and cannot be penetrated by scholars of the Tripitaka. It is beyond the attainment of bodhisattvas at the 10 sacred stages and the 3 clever stages, and it is beyond clarification by bodhisattvas at the place of assignment or in the state of balanced awareness. So how could the common man Sanzo know it? We must clearly determine the truth of this principle. If people purport that even Sanzo might know, or might attain to, the body and mind of the national master, it is because they themselves do not know the body and mind of the national master. If we can say that people who have got the power to know others' minds can know the national master, then can the 2 vehicles also know the national master? That is impossible. People of the 2 vehicles can never arrive at the periphery of the national master. Nowadays, people of the 2 vehicles have read the sutras of the great vehicle, but even they cannot know the body and mind of the national master. Further, they cannot see the body and mind of the Buddha Dharma, even in a dream. Even if they seem to read and recite the sutras of the great vehicle, we should clearly know that they are totally people of the small vehicles. In some, the body and mind of the national master cannot be known by people who are acquiring mystical powers or getting practice and experience. It might be difficult even for the national master to fathom the body and mind of the national master. Why? Because his conduct has long been free of the aim of becoming Buddha, and so even the Buddha's eye could not glimpse it. His leaving and coming has far transcended the nest and cannot be restrained by nets and cages. Now, I would like to examine and defeat each of the 5 venerable patriarchs. Joshu says that because the national master is right on Sanzo's nostrils, Sanzo does not see. What does this comment mean? Such mistakes happen when we discuss the details without clarifying the substance. How could the national master be right on Sanzo's nostrils? Sanzo has no nostrils. Moreover, although it does appear that the means are present for the national master and Sanzo to look at each other, there is no way for them to get close to each other. Clear eyes will surely affirm that this is so. Gensa says, simply because of being enormously close. Certainly, his enormously close can be left as it is, but he misses the point. What state does he describe as enormously close? What object does he take to be enormously close? Gensa has not recognized enormous closeness and has not experienced enormous closeness. In regard to the Buddha Dharma, he is the furthest of the far. Kyozan says, the first 2 times, the master's mind is wandering in external circumstances. Then he enters the samadhi of receiving and using the self, and so Sanzo does not see him. Though Kyozan's claim as a little Shakyamuni echoes on high, even in the western heavens, he is not without such wrongness. If he is saying that when people see each other, they are inevitably wandering in external circumstances, then there would seem to be no instance of Buddhist patriarchs seeing each other, and he would appear not to have studied the virtues of affirmation and becoming Buddha. If he is saying that Sanzo, the first 2 times, was really able to know the place where the national master was, I must say that Kyozan does not know the virtue of a single bristle of the national master's hair. Gensa demands, have you seen at all, even the first 2 times? This one utterance, have you seen at all, seems to say what needs to be said, but it is not right because it suggests that Sanzo's seeing is like not seeing. Hearing the above, Zen Master Secho Mayukaku says, I am defeated. I am defeated. When we see Gensa's words as the truth, we should speak like that. When we do not see them as the truth, we should not speak like that. Kai Tan says, if the national master is right on Sanzo's nostrils, what difficulty could Sanzo have in seeing him? Above all, it has not been recognized that the national master is inside Sanzo's eyeballs. This, again, discusses only the third time. It does not criticize Sanzo as he should be criticized for not seeing the first two times as well. How could Kai know that the national master is on Sanzo's nostrils or inside Sanzo's eyeballs? Every one of the 5 venerable patriarchs is blind to the virtue of the national master. It is as if they have no power to discern the truth of the Buddha Dharma. Remember, the national master is just a Buddha through all the ages. He has definitely received the authentic transmission of the Buddha's right Dharma eye treasury. Scholars of the Tripitaka, teachers of the commentaries, and others of the small vehicles do not know the limits of the national master at all, and the proof of that is here. The power to know others' minds, as it is discussed in the small vehicles, should be called the power to know others' ideas. To have thought that a small vehicle scholar of the Tripitaka, with the power to know others' minds, might be able to know a single bristle or half a bristle of the national master's hair is a mistake. We must solely learn that a small vehicle scholar of the Tripitaka is totally unable to see the situation of the virtue of the national master. If Sanzo knew where the national master was the first 2 times, but did not know a third time, he would possess ability which is 2/3 of the whole, and he would not deserve to be criticized. If he were criticized, it would not be for a total lack of ability. If the national master denounced such a person, who could believe in the national master? The national master's intention is to criticize Sanzo for completely lacking the body and mind of the Buddha Dharma. The 5 venerable patriarchs have such incorrectness because they completely fail to recognize the conduct of the national master. For this reason, I have now let the Buddha's teaching of mind cannot be grasped be heard. It is hard to believe that people who are not able to penetrate this one Dharma could have penetrated other Dharmas. Nevertheless, we should know that even the ancestors have made such mistakes that are to be seen as mistakes. On one occasion, a monk asks the national master, "What is the mind of eternal Buddhas?" The national master says, "Fences, walls, tiles, and pebbles." This also is mind cannot be grasped. On another occasion, a monk asks the national master, "What is the constant and abiding mind of the Buddhas?" The national master says, "Fortunately, you have met an old monk's palace visit. This also is mastery of the state of mind which cannot be grasped." The god Indra, on another occasion, asks the national master, "How can we be free from becoming?" The national master says, "Celestial one, you can be free from becoming by practicing the truth." The god Indra asks further, "What is the truth?" The national master says, "Mind in the moment is the truth." The god Indra says, "What is mind in the moment?" Pointing with his finger, the national master says, "This place is the stage of prajna. That place is the net of pearls." The god Indra does prostrations. In conclusion, in the orders of the Buddhas and the patriarchs, there is often discussion of the body and of the mind in the Buddha's truth. When we learn them both together in practice, the state is beyond the thinking and the perception of the common man and sages and saints. So we must master in practice. Mind cannot be grasped. Written at Kosho Horinji Temple on a day during the summer retreat in the second year of Ninji.